Hello, everybody. This is Anthony Brogdon once again coming at you with some strong information. Then that's what I do. I'm the guy who wrote the book, Black Business Book, and I also did the documentary Business in the Black. And so to keep the dialogue going, because I like Black history, I have this YouTube channel where I interview people who got stories and information to share about Black history. And we do it in a strong way as best we possibly can. And so many of you are probably familiar with what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma 100 years ago, this coming May
31st.
May 31st is when it actually happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with what they call the Black Wall Street District, the Greenwood area of Tulsa.
Right.
I had the pleasure of visiting Tulsa and showing my film, The Business in the Black, there back in 2018. And it really just brought me to tears to hear of the stories that happened. So I'm gonna present to you the guest for the day. She goes by the name of Meg. She's with an organization. I'm gonna let her do the introductions. We're gonna have a good time. We're gonna tell you some good things that's happening in Tulsa as we speak. Meg, thank you for being on our show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. I do a lot of tweeting and Facebooking and Instagramming about, the book and different historical facts. And so somehow I found you all found me. And
right.
So I'm so grateful that, you decided to take time to join me today. Tell me about your organization, the name, what you all do, so what the plan is, so on and so forth.
Okay, well, I'll try to keep the who we are brief, but we have actually it's a marketing company, a branding company called Spark Creative. And we mostly have worked with people in need or women, minorities, things like, the SNAP program, anything to do with children, a lot of work we've done in the past with single moms. So we had a pretty altruistic business model anyway, because that's what we like to do. But Carlos, my partner, has been researching Greenwood for about 20 years. And for the longest time, I didn't know that. And I had heard about Greenwood because at one time, a long time ago, I worked for the Tulsa Tribune, which is the newspaper that wrote the article that arguably started the riot, the massacre.
Oh,
And
really?
so,
Okay.
yeah, right. I had heard whispers in the newsroom, and not being a Tulsa native, I was like, what am I hearing? But nobody was talking about it. Nobody in the public was talking about it. Fast forward a few years, I end up going to Langston University here in Tulsa at UCAT, which is a Black college. So I'm right there in Greenwood.
Right.
And I would go down to Greenwood and eat because I want to get off campus. And then I started hearing more whispers, and I thought, what is going on? And Carlos approached me one day and he said, I think I've got enough research. There's a lot more to do, but nobody's telling the story of the people that founded Greenwood, the people that built Greenwood, the amazing success stories of these individuals and these families. And then, despite incredible odds, they rebuilt it better than it was before the massacre, which we're not minimizing the massacre, but that is in large what's being talked about.
Sure.
And our hope, well, let me say this. We've turned down all client work to do this. So we have said goodbye to consistent income so that we can focus on this. And we're focusing on the whole, changing the narrative, because there's so much more to Greenwood than this tragic event. And the way that they came back, the successes they had after the massacre are amazing. So we're hoping to change a little bit of the narrative.
Let me say now, bring us back to somebody who doesn't know this. This Greenwood is in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yes.
How
Yes.
big is Greenwood? How many blocks would you say?
Well,
So on and so forth.
at the time, back in the day, we're talking 35 plus blocks. We're talking 10,000 people.
10,000 people living
Mhm.
in
This
Greenwood.
is a community. This is not some two street, main street,
Okay.
podunk Texas town. This is a substantial community.
Now,
As it stands now, if you go, well, you were at Greenwood. If you go to Greenwood, it would appear that it's literally one street.
but Greenwood, from what I remember, it starts like the part of it was downtown, maybe a mile away from the main downtown corridor, correct?
Correct.
And then there's the street Greenwood that
Mhm.
goes all the way to where, and I might go farther, to where the library is, where they had my showing, which is on Archer and Pine or Pine Street. It goes that far down.
Right. It's still a fraction of what it once. The size is a fraction of what it once was, because what's happened since another attempted destruction of Greenwood was the IDL, or the interdispersal loop, the highway system, which happened categorically across the United States through
Yeah, right,
minority.
right.
It's but it's so, and people came in, specifically white rich men came in and bought it up.
Okay. So now Greenwood is a street that's the main corridor of the.
Yes, sir. Great.
Where did they get the name Black Wall Street? Is that what they considered all of the Greenwood district, let's say, or?
They got the name Black Wall Street simply because it was one of the most financially successful Black communities in the world.
Okay.
And that name actually, that's the other part of the process of the research and actually sourcing documents. Like, this isn't hyperbole. This is every article, every story is sourced. So it's referenced. And we're trying to clarify some myths, some false information that's out there. And what
Okay.
you'll read is that it was Black Wall Street before the massacre, when in fact it was more successful after.
Okay. So now you have in Tulsa, how did how in your research, how did you find Tulsa to be more special than any other district across the country? Because of the people and the wealth they had, or the synergy they had? What made Tulsa special and Black Wall Street?
Well, I mean, speaking quite frankly, when when people started openly discussing the massacre, I mean, it was hidden intentionally. Even the people in the Black community did not want to talk about it. So what's remarkable is the wealth, by anybody's standards, with or without a massacre. And then it was the most deadly attack on national soil up until 9/11. That's what makes it remarkable.
The one thing that I would say that it appeared that Black people in Tulsa had the opportunity to be more wealthy than maybe across the country for the reason of oil. Some of them had oil on their land. Is that part of what made that
I don't know that to be
special?
true. I don't know that to be true. My best guess, and Carlos can probably answer this infinitely better than I can, but what you have to remember, which is, well, or maybe people don't know, and I'm saying that because I'm in the bubble of research, so I know a lot. But the individuals and the businesses in Greenwood were very, very good at what they did. And they were so good and so efficient and so capable that, quite frankly, white people hired them. So it wasn't just, yes, it was money, and the dollar circulated, I want to say 36 times before it left the community. But
Wow.
you also had business and dollars coming in from white people.
Oh, then that's a little known fact, I'm sure.
Yeah. Was it substantial? I mean, I don't know a dollar amount, but yeah,
Yeah, sure, sure,
you add
sure.
the ingenuity and their work ethic and just their ideas and solutions and tenacity combined with that word getting out to the white community, and um, they were just tenacious. And I don't know if why any more than any other community in the United States.
Right,
It's a good question.
right. Where did the black people, if you can say, mostly migrate from to get to Tulsa? Where in the
Gosh,
South? Were they
wow, yeah, I
were they
mean,
from Indians owned them and that kind of thing? That might have been something to do with it.
um well, they purchased Indian land, and as a matter of fact, we're researching the purchase by O.W. Gurley because there are many inconsistencies in current information, not to say anything disparaging about anybody else's writing.
Sure, sure.
But we're currently talking with the tribal offices, which can I tell you is no easy feat. And um, they bought significant amounts of property
They
from
who? The black people
the
did?
blacks. I'm sorry, the blacks
Okay,
from the
okay,
Creek and
okay,
from the Cherokees.
okay,
Um, Significant amounts of land. They came from all over. They came from Alabama. They came from Mississippi. They came from Virginia. Um, I'm probably not even listing all the because we're
sure,
not done with
sure,
the
sure,
research.
sure.
But there's
Well,
not, and a lot of them when they left after the massacre ended up many of them ended up in Chicago, and we've talked to several
oh,
descendants.
really?
Mhm.
Oh,
They
okay,
got out of
okay,
Dodge and went to Chicago.
okay.
Mhm.
What did they what if there's a business or some group of businesses you said whites patronize that they were more known for? Were they, I mean, they had great hotels,
Specifically, I can think
barbershops,
of
restaurants. What was
more service like auto mechanic, more service. Not
okay,
necessarily that the whites would come and frequent the establishments, but they did. They did come
okay,
to Greenwood, but more
okay,
service industries. Um, we had, one of the first black pilots in the country here. Um, Lots of really good mechanics,
okay,
um, that kind of
okay.
thing.
Is there a because I'm asking you all these good questions I want
No,
to,
that's okay. Ask away.
is there a something that separates Greenwood from the other part of the city? Like, was there a railroad, a little river, or
There's a
something like that
railroad.
that the whites had to come over to? That they didn't come, the blacks knew that was their side of town, or something like that.
I think, yeah, the railroad for being one for sure. I mean,
Okay,
I would say that was it because the IDL wasn't there yet. And it was also in, Tulsa, Tulsa has always been very segregated. And North Tulsa is where, South Tulsa is where the white affluent suburbia world
okay,
is.
okay,
Midtown is where your older white money is.
okay,
West Tulsa is more industrial and it's a lower income. East
okay,
Tulsa is high is very uh, lots of Hispanic individuals and families and
okay.
Asian families. North Tulsa is where is be careful, don't go to black or North Tulsa. It's black.
That's the
That's the
black
kind
side.
of that's the
And
conversation.
North Tulsa is Greenwood area.
Greenwood is in North Tulsa,
Is in North Tulsa. Okay.
but it's next
So
to downtown. So I mean, it's what, yeah.
yeah. So you had all these blacks, they were doing different businesses and supporting one another.
Mm.
Was there other industry other than those who were self-employed and hiring blacks that blacks were able to work in?
Well, there were multiple theaters, multiple confectionaries, multiple restaurants, extremely extravagant hotels. I mean, we're talking, fancy schmancy hotels. Um, Gosh, what else? Lawyers, doctors. It
Yeah,
was
but I'm saying if I didn't work in Greenwood and I was a black person, is there an industry in Tulsa like farming or manufacturing?
well, if you were
That
black and you didn't
hired a
live in
lot of black people.
yeah, if you didn't live in Greenwood, you probably did work for somebody in the oil and gas industry or some
Okay. Okay.
faction of it. That's the bulk of the wealth here, and it still is, unfortunately.
Okay. Okay. Because like in Detroit, I mean, everybody back in those days worked in the auto industry. I mean, people
Right.
came here for those jobs, and
Right. Yeah.
not everybody did it. Some people struck out and did their own thing. You've spoken about the project. Is what you're doing going to be a book? Is
It'll be a book, and
document? What's the end game for you all?
the end game, the scope has expanded significantly, so I'll try to keep it brief, but there's a really interesting message I want to share with you and whoever might be listening. The articles are online. They will become a book, a hardback real book in May of this year, ahead of the centennial. The interesting part about the publication of this book, because we have published other books for other people, I mean, but the publisher of this book is All Souls Unitarian Church. And the reason that that's interesting is because the gentleman, I use that term loosely, the person that founded All Souls Unitarian, which is the biggest Unitarian church in the country, was founded by the publisher of the Tulsa Tribune.
Okay.
Then when he passed, he left an endowment at the church specifically only to be used in the publication of books. So we are being funded in part to publish a book by the very people that wrote the article that arguably started the massacre. So there's some poetic justice going on.
I got you. I got you.
And All Souls has been so gracious, and really trying to reconcile what is a complicated past.
Okay.
So it'll be a book. We're doing virtual speaking engagements due to COVID. We'll be doing those with descendants, talking about their relatives, and we'll also be doing a podcast this year.
Okay.
Which will be talking about policies and things that happen kind of across the board in our nation that people just aren't even aware of that affect these communities. And then we're doing a video series as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. I got you.
Well, there's more than one way to get the word out. A book is great, but not everybody's a reader.
Yeah, everybody's a reader or what have you.
Right.
So now this is the 100th centennial of what happened that night. Right. There are activities. I mean, you're launching your book beforehand. Are you familiar with activities that will happen in Tulsa to, I don't know if I use the word celebrate the massacre, but
right. No, I mean,
commemorate it or something like that.
Honoring and commemorating and paying respect to the people that, were killed. I do know of some things, and there's probably a whole lot that I don't know. They're building Greenwood Rising, the Tulsa Race Massacre Commission, which is going to be a museum that houses artifacts and exhibits. We'll be actually contributing items to those exhibits because we have documents people haven't seen in 100 years.
Wow.
I'm actually working kind of volunteering, I guess I should say, with Vernon AME Church, which is the only standing edifice from the massacre.
I remember seeing it.
And I'm working on helping them get an interfaith garden going and a place where people can go and pray by the time the centennial's here. There'll be there'll be all kinds of speaking events and I don't know everything that they're going to do.
Is there a website? I mean, I know COVID might not be over by then, by the end of May, and I don't know how well, but let's say that it is. Is there a website that people can go to find out more information, not just about your book, but a list of those activities? Are you familiar with that?
I would say that the best way to find out, and I'll share it with you, or I'll put it into the comments here.
Yes.
It would be the Tulsa Race Massacre Commission, because they're doing. That's going to be where you're going to go to find to find
Okay.
out what's going on here.
Okay. Okay.
And I can share that. It's Tulsa2021.org.
Oh, excellent. Okay, there you go. Just a couple
Tulsa2021.org.
more questions. I remember when I was there, I went by the Greenwood Cultural Center.
Correct.
And I, toured it, which it looks like a smaller museum, maybe, but more of a meeting, gathering hall. Is that correct?
Right. It's been there for quite a while. As a matter of fact, my oldest graduated from Booker T. Washington. So there are all kinds of events there. There are book
Okay,
signings there. It's
I got you.
open to the entire community. They don't close their doors if you're not in the
Yeah, I
Greenwood
got you.
community.
I got you. I
Right.
got you. Last question. When I was there, I ate at the restaurant on downtown Greenwood.
Wanda J's.
Yeah, good food, good food.
Yeah, you'll gain some weight in there. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I ate there and I got my hair cut across the street at the barber.
Right. Yep.
Yep. And then
And
I met a
there's
guy.
probably, yeah, there's
Huh?
probably some more businesses since you've been here. There's a t-shirt shop. There's a really fancy tennis or sneaker shop. Lefties. There's a great bar and grill. It's
Oh,
growing.
okay.
It's
Okay.
growing.
Okay. Excellent. So at the end, we can conclude that Tulsa is alive. The Black Wall Street is alive.
Mhm.
You said they built it up even more than before the massacre. A lot of people don't know that. But gentrification and things all come into play, and just the plight of America. But
Right.
but things are well. That we can conclude.
I believe they are getting better, and there are more and more conversations.
Meg, you answered a lot of my questions in a short period of time with concise answers. I thank you for taking time to join us on Strong Inspirations. Everybody, this is kind of this is what we do here. We try to get to the meat of it with people who know the meat as quickly as possible,
Right.
so that and then if you want to learn more about this, some of it is in my book, just a little bit. There are other books about what happened in Tulsa.
Mhm.
Name of that website, you said the Greenwood Commission.
It's the actual name of that website is
Right.
Tulsa2021.org.
Okay.
That's because they're nonprofit. Ours is thevictoryofgreenwood.com.
Okay.
And that's where you're going to get a talk about meats. You're going to get a lot of content about the people that built and rebuilt Greenwood.
People, I just implore you to learn a little bit more, but don't look at it from only from a negative perspective, only of the devastation. Look
Right.
the recreation, look at how we survived it, overcame it, became better, for something that we really didn't deserve to happen to us.
Amen.
Something that we really did deserve to happen to us. And so I hear stories of lawsuits and all those kind of things that are going on. They found more bodies, maybe even though,
Yeah, they have. That's a fact.
so on and so forth. That can be talked at a later date, but at this point, the good part is Tulsa is celebrating, recognizing what happened 100 years ago and what has happened since then to recover from that devastating. And it was really just one night, isn't that correct?
One night and the next morning, early morning.
Yeah.
It was a
One night.
less than 24-hour period. I mean, it still shocks me.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Right.
You've watched Strong Inspirations with my friend Meg. I'm coming to Tulsa in May to be there for this activity. And I'm just so excited to have you on my show and that we're doing this and that people will be able to see it. So I thank you so very much. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay strong, and everybody like this video. I thank you so very much. Thank you so much, Meg.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.